Welcome back to Sunrise. Today we have Mr. Wale Adeniyi, the spokesperson of Customs, talking to us about those shocking seizures that were made recently. We have, those who are saying, look, that some of these have actually escaped the customs previously and they see them in some of the shopping malls at the moment. But then could you tell us what happens, or what's the procedure when these kind of importers are caught? What happens at the end of the day?
The first thing that does is to conduct laboratory tests and to really check and confirm if these items are certified good for human consumption. If they are good for human consumption, then we look at the circumstances surrounding the importation. Did they get the documentations right? Did they pay the right duty? That's from customs perspective. Were the goods registered from the NAFDAC perspective and all of that? So if the result is negative, they are not fit for human consumption, naturally they are destroyed. I watched some of your reports last night when some of these items are being destroyed in some locations. And then the importers or the agents is prosecuted. And we have a joint partnership between us and NAFDAC to handle such prosecution if the result is negative.
But the pre-shipment inspection which you spoke about, there are those who are of the opinion that if it really does work, this should have been nipped before it even gets to get here.
Well, unfortunately, we are no longer in the era of pre-shipment inspection. Things come to Nigeria now, and then we do our inspection in Nigeria. But what we do in the place of pre-shipment inspection is pre-arrival assessment. The documents of importation are sent to customs, the customs headquarters, and assessment is done. And this is where I told you that the red flag was put on this particular importation. We had reasons to query some of the parameters of the importation, and this is why we went ahead to make the decision.
So at the moment, do you usually have a NAFDAC, SON? Do you all work together to look through containers that arrive at the ports?
We not only work together with these agencies in the port, we also work together, we collaborate ahead of the arrival of these goods. Because like I said, the documents covering all importations to the countries are sent to us ahead of arrival. And before they come, we do our analysis. We look at all the risks around all these items. There are some risks that affect customs only. If it's about payment of how much duty you are going to pay, the cost, the value, and all of that, we don't involve any other agency. But if it is something that has to do with, consumables, of course, we share the risk with NAFDAC. We share the result with NAFDAC. They have access into our system. If it has to do with standard, we have a platform through which we collaborate with the SON, and similar other agencies like that. We have not attained a full single window platform yet, but the system that Customs has is robust enough to allow us collaboration, pre-arrival assessment of goods to ascertain what kind of risk they create for any of these agencies that are involved in management of import into Nigeria.
Why haven't we achieved this single window system yet, and when do we hope to achieve it? I know you've been working on it for a while.
Well, single window anywhere is a very big project, and it requires a lot of political will. We need a very strong political will. We need the right legislation for it. Importantly, legislation is very, very important because the legislation will spell out what each agency will do, who will be the lead agency in the process, and all that. We decide the type of single window that we are going to implement. Is it going to be an electronic platform? Is it going to be a non-electronic platform? Is it going to be something that not just talk about import alone, or it can bring in other stakeholders like corporate affairs, tax authorities, and all of that. So it's a very big project, and we're taking one step the other. The foundation that we have in customs, we believe, is robust enough to host the entire national single window apparatus. We are on the right path already.
Well, in the event that this kind of shipment escapes the agencies, or say customs specifically now, what's the remedy?
I'm sorry, can you take that again?
In the event that this kind of shipment escapes you, the customs, what option do you have to remedy the situation?
Well,
if it gets into the country?
I won't be here and say it cannot. It does everything. There is no system that is 100% perfect. And then we have smart Alex all over the places. They could escape it one way or the other. If it does happen, we will rely on information from members of the public because they are not going to take this to the graveyard anyway. They will take it either to some shops to sell and things like that. So if information is given to NAFDAC, is given to customs or government agencies, actions can be taken. We've had situations where government agencies have stormed warehouses where this thing are stored in the interest of the public. You know, if we know that consumption of this will create concerns for public health, such agencies would go to such shops and take action.
Now, quickly, you talked about this importation of vehicles. The notice is just being put out. Some people would have routed their cars already to Benin Republic. How are you going to deal with those people whose vehicles have already been routed to Benin Republic?
Honestly speaking, there is nothing in this particular directive. There is a grace period provided. The grace period is about a month from the beginning of December to the end of December. Now, it doesn't take more than 3-4 days to clear goods from across the border. The requirements are less. So anybody who has brought in, who has seen the Nigerian ports, all the Nigerian ports there, and decided to bring those things through neighboring ports, now has up to December to bring them in. And I think this is gracious enough for anybody to go and clear their goods. The target is not those people who bring, who import on their own. The target are those people who go to the Republic of Benin to go and buy cars. If these vehicles come into Nigerian ports, we should patronize the ports in Nigeria and derive all the benefits that are attached. There are lots of benefits when we patronize Nigerian ports. I understand the concerns for us to make the Nigerian ports more user-friendly, to make them cheaper, more affordable, and all of that. But we can only do that when we patronize it, not when we completely abandon the port.
But Mr. Adeniyi, you know that Nigerians didn't quite on their own abandon the ports. And when you talk about benefits, many would love to know such kinds of benefit because many Nigerians will love and prefer to route their cars through the Nigerian ports. But for one thing, they say it's quite tedious and very much expensive.
I think the fact to say is that vehicles anywhere now will be very expensive because of the foreign exchange situation. So I'm not sure there are cheap cars, relatively speaking, anywhere. When we compare the prices that we have now with the prices that we have 2-3 years ago when the exchange rate was a little bit lower. There are lots of benefits, definitely. I can assure you when we patronize Nigerian ports. Talk about the revenue, talk about the multiplier effect that it has. We have customs agents that are closing shops. We have transport agents that are closing shops. We have our revenues that are also dwindling. Customs is struggling to make revenue targets. And when customs have problems with targets, all the tiers of government, the federal, the state, the local government, are adversely affected because what goes into the allocation table is less when the customs revenue dwindles. So there is a lot of multiplier effect in terms of benefit to everybody that trickles down to everybody eventually. So we hope we will get the other side of it right, making the port more user-friendly, getting the access roads done, all the roads that lead to our port. Customs have made a lot of issues about that, getting all the stakeholders to be automated. And we are not pretending that our ports are the best currently, but we will not make it better when we abandon it.
All right, then, Mr. Wale Adeniyi, thank you for talking to us today.